was writing this one, was it the third one? Darn it. A few days ago. No, it wasn't that one. I changed Astrophil, Mr. Chamberlain, and the mentions for the botany line. Or no, it wasn't. It was beginning writing for chapter 1. I added a few pieces to it. It's unbiased account type stuff. But anyway, this one, exponentially Earth's surface temperature increased as heated metals began to combust and cause earthquakes, create earthquakes, etc. This would be cause. As the surface was dying, physical ecosystem-based motion became less possible and caused greater temperature variation. Plants began dying in ecosystem inconsistency. An instability of cyclical rhythm, Earth's surface volcanic vents and geysers began releasing lower Earth layer pressure. Mountains and deserts were buried beneath layers of lava. Releasing lower Earth layer pressure, mountains buried beneath. My ancestors once called this place California. Unbiased account based on birth year and future existence. Which was California. It's fiction. Unbiased account based on birth year reminds me of 2012. But anyway, in Earth existence. Earth scientists and populists had known that throughout time, Earth would function in cyclical rhythm of element knowledge. Following 300 years of cooling, an island in the Pacific Ocean formed. A great wave of survivalists began building a society preparing. With great waves? With great waves of survivalists. With great waves of survivalists began building. With a great wave of survivalist beginning. With great waves of survivalists beginning. Began was a society preparing for the survival of mankind. Space exploration. Many people on this cluttered planet have dreamed about living on the Isle of Angels. The continents are rarely visited by residents, and continentalists rarely visit. I kind of like that, but it's too short. It's like precise though. Like the little sort of tea books you can read like in 2 cups or something. And it's kind of neat. But anyway, it began to combust and cause earthquakes. Surface was dying. Physical ecosystem-based motion became less possible and caused greater temperature variation. Plants began dying in ecosystem inconsistency. And an instability of cycle rhythm, Earth's surface, volcanic vents, and geysers began releasing lower Earth layer pressure. Mountains and deserts were buried beneath layers of lava. My ancestors once called this place California, etc. So I don't know. It was based on year following that, which was the 21st century. I say 300 years. 2000. The 21st century is now. So in other words, people of this century in astrology, aeronautics would be like space explorers now, kind of like them, where you sort of research by bios, I guess, for astrology, aeronautics, biology, and ecology. Ecology reminded me of earth science. Same with biology. Biology was more like into anatomy and life by biome, if that makes any sense. But ecology was something else. It was like ecosystem. So ecology was probably very closely related with biology. Ecology would be the place that they lived, where biology would be their living sort of being, if that makes any sense. Ecology was something like a location or region. Or what are the other ones? Like temperate, forest, mountain, affiliated people of the 21st century, brainwash. Diagonally southeast, really nearest the coast, the second largest instruction center for space exploration careers and the supervision of modern space explorers. Northwest of the CSE is the Environmental Protection Service, group of environmentalists and science profession. No, they are harassing. CPA as analogous adjacent, the Continent Protection Agency. The Continent Protection Agency's purpose and ability is to maintain the preservation of structure and ensure that continents and continentalists are respected. The requirement that everything has a place and is in its place by mandate, the protectors equiv and equal. Oceanic Study Center. I want to add more for that one too, which was a wall. It's not a wall, but a big sort of clear material. The Oceanic Study Center, I also added to this, is built of dense clear material. At its window to the sea, the Oceanic Study Center professors and students observe ocean currents, surrounding sea life, and study center activities. An ocean vehicle bay projects from each entry and exit port. Cylindrical tubes with two-direction vacuums and hydraulic pressurization. During exploration projects, students and professors exit into the ocean to study, as space explorers would in currents of space. Home life. So that's kind of, I don't know, it's younger, right? Home life. What is a social structure like? Or a social structure like? It began describing after that their homes. So I think home life would be somewhere after this. Cut. There needs to be something else here, though, addition. On the way home. It's kind of like, how would you go there with that? Like, I don't know, I'd go there with that like a flow. So basically you have the island and the contents of buildings on the island, right? Which is kind of like Division 1. But you also have a story forming. So you kind of know your way around. Does that make any sense? Add more to it, but additions, so that you're sort of, you know, the ability to relate to the story by information. Home life is a social structure. Or no, home life, what is the social structure like, you know? And describe the social structure, what others might be like. I don't know, though. That one's not too uncommon in the story. Home shapes, so you have the home, okay, so you have outdoors into their sort of cozy place. Does that make any sense? Island central traditional or typical family type units are common. This might run into a few sort of mental blocks, which is home. Elaborate person-to-person interaction, which is in no interaction whatsoever. At the foothills of Heaven's Peak is a familiar residential district. My parents live closest to the foothills, nearest the main trail leading to the university. So this is also in point of view of the main character, who is Astrophal. All education is facilitated by instructors at the University of the Isle of Angels. Okay, so in approximation during 12,482, or 12,482, I was born. Astrophal of the Isle of Angels, which is like freaking a long time from now. What is that, like 10,470, no, 67, 400, no, 300, darn, 1,467, 10,467, is it? Years? From now. I was born Astrophal of the Isle of Angels. Nothing changed. From child to teenager. No, it'll still be around. From child to teenager, I age-seeking answers. In other words, it's consistent and sort of, you know, it'll be there. It's assured kind of thing. Yeah, I age-seeking answers to space on my way off this ever catastrophic and dreadful rock that they're doing fine. Curiosity of the universe begged me to learn. And learn, I did. No, to learn and learn, I did. Everyone knew my path before I began to project it. Right? Which is funny. I was like, but anyway, space explorer extraordinaire. Maybe this is her younger self. Not really, though. It comes to a point where she's actually going to be on, but it's fine, you know. She's intelligent. My parents began preparing me for an education at 3 years of age with shapes and colors in every visual. From hemispherical shapes, or shape and white color of plastic-like homes, to the repetitive hexagonal shapes and cool colors used by the founders of the university. Let me check something real quick. Okay. That was running. fluid from a sprinkler, which wasn't much. Okay. Okay. Shapes and white colors are plastic-like homes, so repetitive hexagonal shapes and cool colors used by the founders of the university. First, I learned language by recognizing a letter's sound, typing a letter, and pronouncing a letter's expected sound with the supervision of my mother. The screen I learned from was semi-opaque plastic, and the letters seen were colorless and dark. Okay, this one, colorless and dark. In other words, it's kind of like a projector. I don't know, semi-opaque plastic. So the screen I learned from was semi-opaque plastic near maybe a wall or something like that. And the letters seen were colorless and dark. So in other words, a shadow. Letters formed words, and words placed together were used for expression of thought. And thought meant. That one cracks me up. At 4 years of age, I was introduced over wireless technology to Gayla, my educational instructor. My instructor possessed no gender-referenceable appearance. Gayla began instructing with the most simple systems of virtual reality headset. So in other words, I'm not going to add gender there. The beginning topics were language, mathematics, consumerism, and ecology science. I studied these topics 6 years, increasing my knowledge of technology, topics of each new understanding. Elaborate on a few events in Astrophil's childhood, including supply chain description, occupational, and home life. So this was her chosen career path. But one event changed that in her life, and that was my curiosity of small sparkly lights in the night sky became apparent shortly thereafter. Or shortly thereafter, my curiosity of the, you know what, actually it's going to be this one, shortly thereafter, cut. And so the proper placement is something like that. Paste, comma. So shortly thereafter, this would be preceding adjective, it's a modifier. Shortly thereafter, by time, my curiosity of the small sparkling lights in the night sky became apparent. And then you go, addition, Astrophil's point of view, this is grammatically correct. Shortly thereafter. Shortly's Shortly's kind of used as in, like, not too long after. So shortly thereafter, etc. Its use. I haven't seen this one much, but it's kind of like style, not so much, proper modifier. If that makes any sense. More stylistic. So addition, Astrophil's point of view, account of her father telling her of space exploration. These were projected page counts. I wasn't doing half bad with. I mean, could do more here. This is about a page, right? With, elaboration on quite a few of those. But anyway, I yearned for a chance to explore space, but my own urgency was limiting. When I began my higher educational endeavors, right, and that's a common one used, at 19 years of age, 8 years had passed since the first moon colonists were transported, and my interest had not been forgotten. I yearned for a chance to explore space, but my own urgency was limiting. So in other words, her urgency was limiting a chance to explore space. So I yearned for a chance to explore space, but my own urgency was limiting. In other words, that her yearning limited her ability, limited, okay, how do I say this, yearning? Urgency yearning limited her chance to explore space. Or when I began my higher educational endeavors, at 19 years of age, 8 years had passed since the first moon colonists were transported, and my interest had not been forgotten. So how would I go there with this one? When we began my higher educational endeavors at 19 years of age, 8 years had passed since the first moon colonists were transported. While my interest had not been forgotten. Projected page count. Story of influence. She kind of knows them, right? She gets to know them a little bit better. Story of influence of space exploration, so that there is more to the characters in this story. State of Eternity program. Elaborated on influential and fictitious space figures, which was a few of them. Anyway, Instagram mostly. Instagram. It's mostly imagery right now, but they're always working on something interesting. Okay, so are working to do something really interesting. State of the Eternity program elaborate on influential and fictitious space figures. Laboratory. Expanded education. I saw the Eternity program set of personnel for a seat on a shuttle. No seat was available for an intern. I didn't understand. I was a quintessential overachiever. She chose, at that point, what she's about to tell you, which was botanical analysis elements, okay, which was kind of like plants and dirt, agronomy, etc. For a student without space experience. Dirt's necessary first, I thought moon, okay? But anyway, as a student in botanical analysis, I was rare. With a bachelor's degree in botanical analysis and a minor degree of study in space exploration, I thought I was ready. So I thought this one too, which was Sliot's critiquing skills for botanicals. Does that make any sense? Like scientific names for plants and their purpose? My instructor denied my relocation, implying that no one is ever completely ready for space exploration. No. So anyway, I went in sort of more of her into the character developments, which was she is a young person, experienced a lot of excitement, interest, stuff like that. But anyway, that was Astrophobe. It's not me, but the characters have the ability to sort of be referenced and therewith, which are character qualities based on development. So anyway, she was rare. No one else was gonna do botanical analysis in space. But anyway, they put her into a situation that her interests would be sort of an emotional guiding thing. But she experienced, sort of the weight. And she wanted to go now, but, as an elements vendor, that's perfectly fine. But as a botanical analyst, botanical analyst of botanical analyst. Analysis. Great. Good. Analyst. Okay, botanical analyst. A botanical analyst and a minor degree study in space exploration. I thought I was ready. My instructor denied my relocation, implying that no one is ever completely ready for space exploration. So, that she would always have a guiding space that would not are allowed to emotionally respond in a way that failure would be detrimental to an overall objective. Then, she would have sort of a career in this, should she meet all the requirements. Countless failed attempts at gaining position on the Eternity Space Station were discouraged, when she came across the flyer, leading to a competitive space simulation training facility. She goes on to tell you the flyer detailed credentials for educational degree requirement. I gained the simulated experience I needed. My training was the missing piece. So anyway, she went training, and basically that's the simulated training description in the next prompt. So these are sort of self-mount prompts for story flow. So as I'm going through it, not only am I building this as a setting, and that's one setting that they don't re-go to, but it's always somewhere sort of grounding, knowing it's always there, so they don't leave ever completely. What is the social structure like? And you go home shapes, etc., and then it takes you into the character sort of development. So here there was person-to-person interactions within their family unit. Or no, these are social person-to-person interactions. And family unit was here somewhere elaborate on Astrophobe's childhood, including supply chain description, occupation, and home life. And then, how her interest started, and then develop her as a sort of, adult being. So you have something like, she had a childhood, and this, changed this, and this is a little story about it, and I have notes on that, which was, she had a lesson open. She opened a lesson to stars and began sort of curiosity of these small sparkly lights. And then, she was out near a garden, and her father came out and said, "Hey, what is this I hear of you? You opened this lesson that you weren't supposed to see." And she's, sort of in awe of these stars. So anyway, that's a little story. Her and her father sort of building character. That these are the reasons, I guess, that she had for her decision in her career, and then also that they're guiding sort of space. They're guiding her to space as opposed to Earth for her entire life. So anyway, when that started, it links me back to the a mention in previous writing that Astrophila had. So her father and she having discussions, she having interest following this piece of writing, and then sort of how that developed her identity recognition, she knowing herself. This links me to previous mentions of she. So I go sparkly lights, and then night sky became apparent shortly thereafter. It links me to the thought of the previous text that was something like, the universe has begged me to learn, and learn I did. Or, you go universe and you link that to her father. Or you go, what was another one? Shortly after my curiosity, the small sparkly lights in the night sky became apparent. No. Which one is it? Darn it. I'm trying to remember the mention that I had for the sparkly night sky in the beginning. It wasn't Space Explorer Extraordinaire. It was some of that, but how she sort of is developed as a character. So I could kind of reference that, right, in later sort of writing that sort of takes the flow into the next piece, which is a little bit more complex. So you have curiosity, the small sparkly lights in the night sky became apparent. Her educational endeavors or objectives, I think, would be, her father's exploration, also family, and that be directly related to her sort of identity recognition. And then further on, I yearned for a chance to explore space. And it was, which one was it? I yearned for a chance to explore space. My urgency was limiting. Which one is it? 19 years of age, 8 years have passed. Where's it at? Let's see. Island Location University, however, occurs in supervision of, no. It's your This one, I age seeking answers to space on my way off this ever catastrophic and dreadful rock. The curiosity of the universe begged me to learn. And learn. Learn and learn. I did. That's her father. If that makes any sense. So in other words, you have sort of dynamic of character. From child to teenager was her mother and her instructor. So I don't know if I go there with that comment sort of ending. This is just education generally. So maybe a curiosity of the universe begged me to learn, and learn I did. So in other words, this is the entire family unit kind of thing, I think. Maybe that was a prompt. I don't know. But anyway, I think so. And then also prompt to further develop character. Curiosity of the universe begged me to learn, and learn I did. So I learn I did. From child to teenager, etc. So I think this placement will be slightly more efficient of writing, just precise, precision. Let's see, from child to teenager, I age seeking answers to space on my way off this ever catastrophic and dreadful rock. Let's see, everyone knew my path before I began to project it. Space Explorer Extraordinaire. And this one, project, it was, which one was it? Before I began to tread it. So why would it be tread? Soil before I began to... Probably before I began to search it. Before I began to learn it. Space Explorer Extraordinary. Everyone knew my path before I began to learn it. Space Explorer Extraordinary. Extraordinary. My parents began preparing for education at 3 years of age. So that goes into her mother. Okay, then you have, let's see, 4 years her instructor. Then after that you have supply chain home life. Then she became, okay, so this is character development. Shortly thereafter, my curiosity was sparkly. Small sparkly lights became apparent. And then this is her father telling her of space. This one was also notes. Darn it. Became apparent. Notes, it was on Astrophels. Yeah, Astrophels. Lesson find. She wasn't supposed to, but she opened it anyway. So that's a little bit later, a little bit older. Yeah, Vinance, her sort of developmental scheme. It's stages, psychosocial stages of development, and that is one of family in it. Family history, Astrophel's point of view of identity recognition, projected page counts, etc. I yearned for a chance to explore space, but my own urgency was limiting. When I began my higher educational endeavors at 19 years of age and moved, so this one's moved up to the UOIA or something like that, years had passed since the first moon colonists were transported, while my interests had not been forgotten. Story of influence of space exploration. Page count 3. State of the Eternity program. Elaborate on influential and fictitious space figures. Instagram. So that was NASA. It was science and NASA too. Aeronautics. Space camp. Anyway, 6 years into my expanded education, I sought the Eternity program's head of personnel for a seat on a shuttle. No seat was available for an intern. I didn't understand. I was the quintessential overachiever. The space exploration founders had no place for a student without space experience. As a student of botanical analysis, I was rare. With a bachelor's degree of botanical analyst and a minor degree studying space exploration, I thought I was ready. My instructor denied my relocation, implying that no one is ever completely ready for space exploration. Countless failed attempts at gaining position on the Eternity space station left me discouraged. When I came across a flyer leading me to a competitive space simulation training facility, and if you hear them, they are threatening violence. The flyer detailed credentials for educational degree requirements. Again, the simulated experience I needed. My training was the missing piece. It doesn't really seem to matter to the government here.